partners also at Padova. And the title of the talk is Ontogeny of a Subtidal Point Bar in the Microtidal Venice Lagoon of Italy, revealed by 3D architectural analyses.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm going to show you the results of a segmentological study aimed at analyzing the ontogeny of a subtidal point bar through a three-dimensional multidisciplinary approach. Tidal channels play a key role in the evolution of coastal environments, and they are crucial for water exchanges in transgressive areas. They can develop in three different tidal range settings, whose two end members are the macro and the micro tidal regimes. And here you can appreciate some examples from the Bay of Fundy in Canada and the Grado Lagoon in Italy. But despite the majority of global coasts is characterized by a microtidal regime, fastest models have been mainly developed for macro to mesotidal systems, and scarce attention has been devoted to channels developed in microtidal settings. And this is especially true for subtidal channels, whose internal architecture and the positional patterns are commonly investigated based on fastest models set up for intertidal channels. So, the Venice Lagoon is the largest brackish water body of the Mediterranean Sea. It originates in the last 7,500 years, and now it is affected by a microtidal range of about 1 meter around the mean sea level. And nowadays it is characterized by a really dense network of intertidal and subtidal channels. And so for all these reasons, the Venice Lagoon is a perfect setting where to fill the knowledge gap. And for this reason, we select an area of about 1 kilometer square in the northern part of the lagoon. And in this area, a previous study identified an approximate varied tidal channel, here expressed with the dashed lines. And we selected this area with the main aim to deepen our knowledge about the sedimentary features of microtidal systems, especially we will like to deal with subtidal meandering channels. And specifically, we would like to develop a three-dimensional model, architectural model of the study Bellizia channel, analyzing its morphodynamic evolution, and going into detail about the grain size variability within point bar deposits. So to do that, we analyzed a huge number of high-resolution acoustic images that were previously acquired with a single beam echo sounder. And then we integrated the interpretation provided by these acoustic images with sedimentological data deriving from sedimentary core analysis. And here you can see that each line represents an acoustic section, while the dots identify the position of each core. So through the analysis of the acoustic images, we were able to identify erosive and inclined horizons, as you can appreciate from these two examples of the acoustic images. And so we were able to identify three main bidimensional and depositional elements, which are the abandoned channel field here in green, the channel bar in blue, and the tidal flood, which is surrounding the channel field and the channel bar elements, and which here is represented with this light yellow. And so all the acoustic images then were integrated in a three-dimensional space just to define the architectural three-dimensional model, and interpolating all these traced lines about the different depositional elements, the bidimensional elements acquired a three-dimensional character, becoming architectural surfaces. And so in this way, we identify a main channel here in orange, which form three meanders and related point bars, called point bar 1 and point bar 2 and point bar 3. And you can see that only the point bar 2 is entirely visible and reconstructed from this study. And then also we reconstruct a minor channel system with the minor channel still in orange and two bank attached bars. And as you can notice, and as you may have already noticed, here in this position, the central point bar has a peculiar horseshoe shape of the inner bank. And here the tidal flat deposits are preserved within point bar deposits. So core data allowed us to confirm this reconstruction and in general the reconstructed deposition architecture of the area, and specifically allowed us to confirm the occurrence of tidal flat deposits in this position. You can see that tidal flat deposits are mainly made of structureless mud with the mollusk shells. Channel pierce deposits cover a basal silty lag and grade upward to structureless mud, while point bar deposits are mainly made of silty rich mud with some laminated beds of very fine sand, and they are always floored by a shell-rich sandy lag. Grain size analysis on point bar cores revealed that no relevant changes in grain size can occur both vertically and along the central band, so along the point bar 2. And beyond characterizing the spatial distribution of these bar deposits, we focused on their internal structural architecture, and specifically, particular attention has been devoted to the changes in the direction of the inclined beds, as you can see here. And so the distribution of this stratal pattern in a three-dimensional space allowed us to identify different growth stages of the Bellizia channel. And these different growth stages were interpreted to be different accretionary patterns within the morphodynamic evolution of this Bellizia channel. And this hypothesis was also supported by the observation of some curved streamwise erosional scours in the basal surface of the bar. And here you can appreciate that thanks to the elevation color scale applied to the basal surface of the bar. And this streamwise scours seems to mimic in some way the scroll bar pattern that we can commonly observe at the top surface of bar deposits. So in this way, the three-dimensional evolution, morphodynamic evolution of the Bellizia channel has been reconstructed in 4 main stages for the main channel and 2 stages for the minor channel. And you can appreciate that the main channels start to develop and to migrate laterally from an already sinuous morphology. And then now turning our attention to the central point bar, the complete one, it is clear that bar collection follows alternate landward and seaward migration that are here highlighted by the arrows. And this peculiarity has led the pool zones to be characterized by a zigzagging trend, as you can see from the arrows, and specifically in the last stages of evolution, it seems that the pool scour splits in 2 parts, as you can appreciate here, but also from this colored map with the elevation scale at the basal surface of the point bar. And finally, we also observed that the lateral migration of the Bellizia channel was also associated to a vertical aggradation of the channel, of the talvet, sorry. And from this particular three-dimensional view of the model, we can appreciate what happened in the minor channel system. And you can see here that this mechanism of lateral migration and vertical aggradation allows for the preservation of bar deposits that were previously deposited during channel evolution. So bar deposits from bar 1, and because these deposits would have been eroded without the vertical movement during the accretion of bar 2. And so, in conclusion, to sum up the main points, we can say that all this observation on the subtidal Bellizia channel have highlighted several aspects that allowed us to enrich the current knowledge of the topic. Indeed, for example, we observed that meanders of tidal channels can arise from already sinuous morphologies, and this highlights in the Venice Lagoon the importance of piracy and connection events between adjacent tidal channels on the development of new recirculation patterns between tidal channels. Then also tidal meanders can create point-bar bodies following different styles of plan formation and following also different main direction of lateral migration due to according to the dominant flow direction, so the local tidal symmetry. And this local tidal symmetry can lead also the pool scour to follow this growth alternation, so the development of a zigzagging trend of pool scours. And moreover, this mechanism can lead also the split in two portions of the pool scours in response to the relationship between the impingement zones and the radius of curvature of the meander. Indeed, the greater the radius of curvature, the greater the possibility that the impingement zones of the two tidal currents do not coincide. And finally, the role of aggradation has been pointed out by the results of this study, and specifically by the peculiar bar preservation of the minor channel system. And this bar preservation clearly have implications for inter-bar connectivity. So thank you for your attention. And now I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for that excellent presentation. Let's see if there's questions in the audience. And if not, I have one for you. The difference between the main channel and the minor channel, it looked like what we might call an avulsion if it was a fluvial system, or a cutoff. And I'm just wondering, if you go forward in time, will the high sinuosity original channel, will it become abandoned? And will the minor channel, which is cutting across that shorter distance, is it going to become the prevalent stable channel?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yeah, the minor channel is clearly different from the major one because of the dimensions and the width and also the channel depth. We start supposing about its origin, and it really seems for its morphology and shape, it really seems that it could be a cutoff channel, but actually it not erode a point bar, it's just connect one meander band to another meander band, but not actually eroding a point bar deposit. So it's not really a tube channel. Could be considered similar to a neck cutoff event or a neck cutoff channel, but also in this case it's not properly its morphology and positions are not really precise to be considered as neck cutoff. So we speculate about its origin, for example, following some flood event in which from just one meander, the main flow used to cut the bank and go eroding the tidal bed which is surrounding our paleo channel and defining this new track which actually connected meander band 1 with meander band 3. And so this is our hypothesis so far. And yeah. I'm not sure if I answer all part of the question because I cannot hear very well, so let me see.
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
It looks like we have a couple more questions.
Thank you for your nice presentation. I had a question as regarding to the comparison we could make between those subtidal channels and the intertidal channels that have been presented before in that session and the others, which were almost mentioned that in that system, intertidal channels are almost fixed. They move very, very slowly. But this is perhaps not the case for the subtidal one that you have shown. And my question was about the time model that you have. Can you know at which velocity the bends are forming and migrating sidewards in that subtidal system, and why, if it's fast, it should be different from what it is in the intertidal domain?
Okay, thank you for your question. Actually, we don't have really precise date information because we didn't have a lot of planned degree or something similar to today, but from previous study from Madricardo et al., which is the previous study analyzing that area, we saw that there is some mutation of the basal surface of the point bars. They date about 4,000 years before present, and just to image about the end of the evolution of this channel, probably it is around 300 years before present. So quite a long evolution in which the paleo channel was able to define to migrate laterally. And yeah, so you see that probably subtidal channels are not considered to be able to migrate laterally as fast as intertidal channels, but we saw also from other examples from the lagoon that this could be the case, that subtidal contours and subtidal meanders can migrate also really with similar velocities and rates as intertidal channels. So yes,
That's great.
Sorry?
Thank you. Thanks for that answer. That's really great. There was one more question, I think. Bob?
I've enjoyed seeing this study when it was published, I think, and since in this talk was very nice. The meander that you've documented, its migration history is very complicated. It seems to, if I understand correctly, rotate initially. It rotates seaward in the ebb direction. Then it rotates upstream, and then it expands. So 3 different phases and 3 different types of behavior. Do you have any idea of why these changes have occurred?
Yeah, thank you for your question too. We suppose that these changes in types of style migrations and also direction of migration could be in some way related to the local tidal symmetry, as already said by Bellizia and Marta in the previous presentations. Because when the ebb dominant, so the Venice lagoon just maybe every decades there is a kind of alternation between an ebb dominance in the tidal floods, tidal current, and then flood dominance. So we suppose and we speculate about this control on the main directions of evolution of our point bars. So when there is a dominance, for example, an ebb dominance, there is a seaward attraction, and otherwise flood dominance could lead to landward attraction. So this would have account for this landward and seaward migration of the paleomeanders, while the latest stage of evolution, the expansional one, would probably be related to a more symmetrical evolution of the paleomeanders. So probably in this case, just ebb and flood parents maybe were equal to each other. So there is a kind of expansion that could be allowed because there was any prevalence of ebb or flood currents.
Okay, Matt, thank you so much. It's a really interesting study, and thanks everyone for being here. I think we can conclude the morning session, and we'll have lunch upstairs. Is that true? Again? And we'll resume here again at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Thanks, everybody.